Hello? Is anyone there?
Who intrudes upon my solitude?
My name is Kerowynn Brooks.
Come closer, Kerowynn.
Closer to where?
To the fire, child. Gaze into it and let me see you.
Is this close enough?
It will do. Ah, I see now. It is not mere curiosity that drives you to this place. You come seeking answers. To what questions I do not know, but they burn within you. That much I can see clearly.
I came here to find an exiled starkeeper. I was told he would share his counsel and wisdom with those who were willing to come unarmed and alone to this place.
You were told truly, Kerowynn. And if we are going to speak as equals, you should feel free to call me Mustafa.
Oh, I will try to do that, but it might help if you were to,
Oh, of course, forgive me. I have so little use for garments when I am here I sometimes forget the niceties of civilization. There now, I do believe that should suffice.
You aren't wearing shoes.
Ah, indeed I am not. Are feet considered an object of erotic desire in your home that they must be covered as well?
Not as such, no, but isn't the sand a little hot for bare feet?
Perhaps to some, but never you worry about me. Now then, shall we sit and you can ask me the questions that dragged you here so far from your homeland? Are you thirsty? Hungry?
Both, as it happens. Thank you.
The desert is not a place that welcomes outsiders. If you are not accustomed to her, she will bury you beneath her dunes. But for those raised at her bosom, who accept her as she is, there is great bounty to be found.
Is that a riddle?
An old saying. I would not have you dine on cactus tines and roasted scorpion, though. I consider myself a kinder host than that. Please, please, fill yourself. If you have walked through all that hard pan to get here, though, remember to eat slowly and to drink plenty of water.
It seems the tales I've heard of Byasaran hospitality are true.
Oh, the Empire may lay claim to my homeland now, Kerowynn, but the tradition of guest rights and hospitality goes back long before the Burning Hills were anything so grand as a nation, much less an empire. If anything, we spread that custom to them as surely as they spread bureaucracy to us.
To hear the tales told, that custom may have been what stopped a war.
If you are referring to the recent though uneasy peace between the Empire and Meravon, then the tales you hear are mostly true. It is unseemly to attack anyone, even a dire enemy, who comes upon you as a guest. It is blasphemy to raise your hand against them in treachery.
As I understand it, you should be an expert on blasphemy.
And now we get to the heart of the matter. You find yourself wondering how a man cast out from the halls of eternity still holds the blessing of its most beautiful patron.
That is one of many questions that I have.
Then that is the first question I shall answer. Are you familiar with Sivan and the creeds of the heavens?
I came across a volume in my youth. I wasn't as fluent with the language then as I am now, so I had to puzzle over some of it.
Then you know there are many worlds and many realms beyond our own, and that, as the book decrees, each of these realms was given a daughter of fire to guide them and to watch over them. There are many thousands of the Shining Sisters, but she who graces our world is Sivan of the bright tresses.
She was the most humble of the daughters of heaven, blushing at every kindness, and the halo of her shining hair marked her even among her kin.
Just so, Kerowynn, just so. Sivan is a healer and a great artist. She nurtures and creates, sending forth her light to bless her children with insight and passion. She is the mother of Ifrits, the keeper of fires, and the bringer of enlightenment.
That sounds like an easy message to rally people around.
It is. However, as I am sure you know, the Karim who stands over the halls of eternity is not a peaceful man. It is, in fact, his official position that all members of the clergy should give more import to the edicts of Razan than the more peaceful doctrines.
The Edicts of Razan? My knowledge of your faith isn't complete, Mustafa, but unless I'm mistaken, those rules only apply to those who stand as warriors of Sivan.
You are not wrong. And while the edicts are only for the warriors to follow, just as the promises of the vault is meant only for the clergy, the Karim has demanded they be taught as a call to arms for all of Sivan's faithful. That, in the eyes of the Golden Lady, all her children are warriors.
And that was why you were cast out?
I disagreed with the Karim's statements, and I did so in public. Worse, people heard and agreed with me. I was a weed to be plucked from their rigid gardens. though I dare say I made things all the worse for them when they withdrew their blessing from me, but Sivan did not.
How could they argue with what was right in front of them?
Blind men can often overcome their lack of sight in extraordinary ways, but that is nothing compared to how greedy or self-righteous men can blind themselves to that which they do not wish to see.
So I've heard. But was it hard for you, leaving the halls behind?
Not so hard as one might think. I was never trained as a priest. Rather, I was studying to become a wizard when Sivan reached down to me. I used the power she granted me to help others, and it was not long before word began to travel to the halls in Chakos. Rather than deal with the embarrassment of a layman filled with her light, the halls found me and sanctified me. Now all I did was in their name, as well as in Sivan's. I was never truly comfortable that way. It felt like the priests trying to control the will of the goddess they supposedly worshipped.
Was that common? For Sivan to choose people who were not her priests to bear her power?
I would not say common, as few enough are allowed to wield her light. But I have met other servants of other gods in my travels, and I believe it is much more common for the divine to pick the tools who suit their purpose, rather than the ones who have been groomed by their priests.
I suppose I've never really thought much about it. I just assumed the gods picked from the eager faces nearest to hand when they needed someone.
Oh, far from it. I once met a man who felt the pull of a patron, but who tried to resist it. The difficulty he faced was that, while he had no desire to be a cleric, he could no more act against his own nature than he could cut off his own head. So while he did not wish to do the bidding of anyone, he was already a perfect fit for the task. Or, as he said when I spoke to him, a sword is meant to cut. Even if it would rather serve another purpose, it cannot.
The secret life of clerics, it seems. What else have you seen that common people may not know?
Or there are 100 little things, but at the day's end they add up to quite a lot. Many people assume a cleric is going to try to convert them to his faith, for instance. Some may try, but if Sivan has not found her way into your heart, then far be it from me to pry open the door for her. A number of common people think that all clerics are warriors, but there are as many roles we might fill when called upon. Others believe we will spend hours in silent prayer begging for our patron's aid. This is not unheard of, but I have found that even among the Orthodox there are always differences in how one prays, and great differences in how their prayers are answered. Some trust to the will of their gods to grant them what they need, and others are more selective in how they ask and what they ask for.
So, how does someone become a cleric?
Anyone can become a priest, but to be a cleric you must be chosen by a higher power. So while not helpful to most, you must become the kind of person a higher power is seeking. If your god needs a sword, then become their sword. If your god needs their words spread, become their voice. If they need someone to do great deeds, then rise to the occasion. Often it is your actions, not your prayers, that you will find earn you reward in the eyes of the gods.
What made you come here after the halls turned you out?
I was raised here. It might not look like much now, but when I was young a spring flowed from that fountain there. Gardens grew all around that courtyard, and I took my morning lessons there from Ifeye.
Who is she?
An Ifrit who took me in, though she might not be the proper term depending on where they are now and what form they chose to inhabit on this day.
And where are they now?
I do not know, but I think it would be a worthwhile endeavor to return this broken shrine to a state of beauty, to give those who enter these harsh lands some respite at an oasis dedicated to Sivan. Perhaps Ifeyi will return to see what I have done. Perhaps not, but others will come and take pleasure in what I have wrought. And were this a task Sivan did not wish me to undertake, I dare say she could stop me from doing it.
When do you plan on starting?
Starting? Much of the important work has already been done.
Perhaps my eyes deceive me then, but doesn't an oasis need water?
O ye of little faith, just watch there and wait a moment.
How did you do that?
Yeah, it was late. The spring was blocked, and I freed it some days ago. I had expected the water to reach here this morning, but I suppose that a dramatic entrance is the best kind, even if you must wait past noon for it. Please drink. I think you will find the water is sweet enough that a pilgrimage to this place may be well worth the trip.
Well, that had a few unexpected insights. And after a few days' rest, I think I might even be willing to walk back out of this damnable desert. If you're listening to this, where do you think I should go next? Should I seek out a particular class or race to see what sort of stereotypes and misconceptions they have to deal with? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Lastly, if you enjoyed this latest installment of Mythconceptions, then like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to follow us on Facebook or to support us on Patreon by clicking the links in the description below. Or, if you're feeling generous, you could buy us a coffee. Until next time.